Last time on the show, we got an opportunity to speak with legendary motorsport journalist and author Morris Hamilton about the late great Murray Walker and his new book. Here's part two of that interview. I'm pretty sure that his place in motor racing himself, as someone that had kind of been around the sport, definitely helped him become the great commentator that he was, and also probably allow him to have a little bit more of an insider edge when it came to talking to the drivers.
That's absolutely right, Bobby. His father, Graham Walker, was a very successful motorbike rider and won the Ulster Grand Prix, finished second in the Isle of Man TT. So, that's good. That's really good. And Murray would be with his dad while this was going on and would be in awe of his dad. Murray was quite openly admitting that his dad was a hero to him because Murray was an only child. And he just absolutely adored his father and adored everything he did. And his father then, when he stopped racing, he then became a commentator. He was a magazine editor of a magazine called Motorcycling, which was the Bible in motorbike racing and motorcycling. So Murray's dad was the editor of that, and he did commentary. So you can see where the connection came from, the love of competition. And as you say, Murray then did a bit of trials riding himself. That's, rough riding on bikes. Admittedly, he wasn't very successful, but it was inured in him, this passion for racing and cars. And then when his dad was commentating, he got Murray to do a little bit, and that's where that came from. So there was, even though we have to remember also, Bobby, that he was also a very successful advertising executive, because motor racing wasn't paying him to be a full-time career. So he was an advertising executive, very, very successful in that field, and could have retired. He left in his mid-50s. He could have gone away and retired. He'd made a lot of money, and that would have been it. But no, he then started off on another career as a commentator. But it was inevitable, given the background we've just referred to with his dad and the commentating.
Unless I'm very much mistaken, some of the best parts of this book are definitely your ability to add in some of these things that are just so signature and classic to him. And one of them is, as you mentioned, is these Murrayisms. And you even have a small chapter in the book that is titled Memories, with some great stories from some very notable names in the sport, racers and drivers like Sir Jackie Stewart.
Yes, and everybody remembers the Murrayisms. But the thing is, commentators today, if they make a mistake, they get jumped on immediately on social media, and everybody's saying. Whereas with Murray, we forgave him because, well, A, he was such a lovable man, and B, the mistakes were coming out because he had so much information in his head, and he wanted to impart this enthusiasm to you, the viewer stroke listener, that he was trying to get it all out. And in the excitement and speaking so fast and loud that the words would get mixed up and it would come out all mixed up. And that actually was funny. It was just adorable. There were people complained about it, but they were in a minority. The majority, you just enjoyed his Murrayisms because you knew what he was trying to say. Okay, it wasn't a mistake because he'd been slack and hadn't done his homework. Not at all. He'd done copious amounts of homework. It wasn't because he was being lazy. It wasn't because he didn't care. It was just a slip of the tongue in the excitement to get it out, and so you forgave him. So that's why there were so many of them that we could put this chapter of Murrayisms in, and then, as you say, people's memories when they talked about him, they would all invariably mention something that he'd said and laugh about it, but in a very, very affectionate way, and that's the difference.
I would definitely be remiss if I didn't ask you a couple of Formula One questions before we head out today. And a great weekend for Lewis Hamilton in Brazil. Is that the best drive that he's ever had in terms of the entire weekend?
I think it has to be. And he's had many, but that was so impressive. And you're talking about Murray. I was thinking about that actually, that incident when Verstappen and Hamilton ran wide at turn 4. Can you imagine what Murray would have said if he was commentating on that? Incredible, look at that, they're off. He would have been going mental. But anyway, that drive, drivers will tell you that, when you've got the bit between your teeth and you've got the momentum and you're going forward, you're very hard to stop. And that was one of Lewis's days. Whereas sometimes, if you're dicing with somebody and you're there behind them for lap after lap after lap after lap, and so, but when you're coming through and you're passing people, and that's what he had going for him in a car that was working really well. But yes, to do what he did, to come, I think with Lewis, with Lewis Hamilton, we've seen it before, Bobby. When he's had a setback, and he's had many in his career, when he's had a setback, he's even stronger. And that's happened many times. And I remember thinking at the weekend, well, okay, he's been put to the back of the grid, or he's got the engine penalty or whatever. He's actually going to just use that to come forward, and that's exactly what we saw. It was an absolutely outstanding drive, and he didn't get too upset when Max edged him out in turn 4. I think he just thought, okay, here we go. You know, there was no hysterics. He just stayed calm and then got him eventually. So it was, yeah, classic drive, fabulous drive.
With things so tight here in the championship, are you leaning one way or the other? Are we going Max or Lewis, or
No.
you just think it's going to come down to the wire and unpredictable?
I do. I'm not just saying that to sit on the fence, because you know, we go to circuits, and before we go, you say, well, that's a Red Bull circuit. You get there, it's not. It's a Mercedes circuit. You go to one which should be a Mercedes circuit. It's not. It's a Red Bull circuit. And that's the way it's been going. It's a matter of who gets it right on the day. And we're only talking, aren't we, tenths of a second, hundreds of a second between the two. Who makes the tires work, who doesn't, depends where their teammates are, depends where Bottas and Perez are relative to how that's all going to pan out. There's so many different things that can change it, because it is so tight between them that I mean, 12 points is nothing. You know, it's 3 races to go. No, I really, and I'm not just saying this, I really don't want to call it. What is impressing me is that Max is, it's tough on him because it's his first real go at the championship, whereas Lewis has been there, done it 7 times. So he's got that experience, which counts for a lot. And, you know, when you get to the final races, it's your life's ambition, and suddenly it's within reach. And that's when the guys start to make mistakes. They get the pressure gets to them, particularly as you get towards the final couple of races. The media descend on you, and it's, you know, are you going to do it? Are you not? You get fed up being asked that question, and it all builds up. But Verstappen has been very impressive in the way he's been so calm and cool and dealing with it really, really well. That's good. That means I'm hoping I'm right in saying we're going to get the fight right up until the end in Abu Dhabi.
So what do you think Murray would think of Max, Lewis, and then also the future of F1?
He would absolutely love this season. He would be beyond excitement. He would be just bubbling over with commentating on the scraps that we're seeing. He would love every second of it. And yes, he would be looking for, once this season's done, like the rest of us, he would be very much looking forward to 2022 and the new formula. And we don't know how that's going to work out. So that's always the hope is that, as often happens when you get a clean sheet of paper, somebody gets their sums right or does it better than the other guy, and suddenly we don't have Mercedes in front anymore. With the greatest respect to Mercedes, somebody else get like Braun did with the double diffuser in 09, you know, just finds that something and just gives them an edge. So maybe we're going to get that. But above all else, what I really hope, and I put my hands together and hope that the car that they produce for 2022 allows them to run more closely and to race better. I really hope it's not so aero dependent, that they can run closer, because I hate this business to be this. We saw it at the weekend. I mean, the DRS was ridiculously effective, and that's not racing. Well, somebody just goes zoom. It has to be on the edge into the same corner. You know, going back to Mexico, Verstappen's run around the outside in the first corner was sensational. You know, on the first lap, that was brilliant. That's what I want to see. That's racing. That's got nothing to do with DRS. That's just driver skill and judgment and taking a deep breath and going for it. That's what we want to see. So I'm hoping that the 2022 cars will allow that to happen a bit more. But other than that, I can't wait to see it.
Well, Maurice, I'm just as excited for the dramatic conclusion of this F1 season and, of course, the future of the sport, and also very excited for you and this new biography that celebrates the life of the late, great Murray Walker, because it is like no other in terms of telling his story. So thank you so much for spending some time with us. So great to see you again.
Bobby, it's been lovely to talk to you, and thank you so much for giving the time to the book and to me. And yeah, you know, just let's share our love and let the love continue. Love to see you. Thank you very much.
Cheers.